Geographic states it's one of the best historical houses in the world. I am so excited to take you around. I'm going to show you the exterior part of the house and give you a guided tour of what it's like to visit the historic Mark Twain House, which again is one of National Geographic's best houses to tour for history. Right up there is the iconic Mark Twain House, and there's the villa and the entrance to get in. And the guided tours happen every hour on the hour, and they're open 7 days a week. I'm going to give you some brief history here. The author, Samuel Longhorn Clemens, also known as Mark Twain, first visited Hartford, Connecticut in 1868 when he was just 33 years old. Wow, I'm learning stuff as I've been preparing for this. He came to town to negotiate a publishing contract with the American Publishing Company. The result of this visit were Mark Twain's first full-length book, published in 1869, and his love for the city. Later, in 1868, he described Hartford in a San Francisco newspaper, quote, "Of all the beautiful towns, it has been my fortune to see. This is the cliff. You do not know what beauty is if you have not been here," close quote. Twain married Olivia Langan, known from who he had met in New York on February 2nd, 1870. The couple moved to Hartford from Buffalo, New York in 1871 and returned to their home, the home of John and Isabel Hooker, Isabel's sister, and Twain's family's future neighbor, who we'll be doing another live shortly, was also author Harriet Beecher Stowe. They joined his friends by settling in the neighborhood known as Nook Farm in 1873. The Twains bought a piece of land and started construction on their home, this very same home that you see on this trail we're going to be walking on. An architect by the name of Porter and his assistant designed and built the Mark Twain home between 1873 and 1874. The stick style home fits into the landscape beautifully, which with its long porch and I can't even pronounce it, conservatory, which you'll see as we walk around. Let me know where you're from when you're joining, and other natural features. Porter used painted brick and the black dedicated woodwork on the porch and the balcony, and his fine detail on each chimney to build the Mark Twain an impressive home. Now, as we now talk about and journey into the first floor, you can see a little squirrel there. Now, I haven't taken this tour since I was a teenager, or actually when I was probably before that, I was in middle school. And was born and raised in Connecticut, so this is great. The first floor, guests were admitted into the front hall by a butler, George Griffin. The dim lighting of the house today reflects the gas lighting used in their time. The decor of the first floor was designed by Lois Tiffany's decorating firm, associated artist in 1881 and 1882. Tiffany and the company drew inspiration from the Middle East, Asia, to combine all the patterns on the first floor throughout the first floor. The 7 bedrooms and central heating system and hot and cold running water in the home, illustrated and was designed by Samuel Clemens with the technology. The house was secured by a battery operated alarm system. Imagine that, a battery operated alarm system in the late 1800s or mid 1800s. Now, as we continue, it states the the drawing room is traditionally the women's room of a Victorian home. Associated artists decorated the room with patterns of color appropriate for more of a female space. The candelabras is the only original lighting feature in the entire home. The seating feature, furniture, and statues. I mean, oops, give me a second. Buses are going by. I gotta say, this isn't in the best neighborhood, and they advise us not to leave stuff alone in the car. And that's going to be one of my takeaways because my friends are like, oh, don't leave your bag in the car. I'm like, I'll be outside when I'm doing this. So they also talk about the fireplace with a divided flue with a window in a place of a traditional chimney. In the room, Mr. Clemens or Mark Twain liked to welcome afternoon visitors and the three Twain daughters and their friends, along with families who performed in plays, played on the piano, and sang to entice their guest. The piano displayed is not theirs, but represents one that they had. So the original panel uh, is no longer available. The family ate all their meals in the dining room, which, as we go along this path, I'm going to look at the exterior of the dining room, which features include a formal parties. Notable guests included neighbors like Harriet Beecher Stowe, which we're going to see her house right next door, literally. So right here is the Mark Twain House. This is Farmington Avenue, and right there is the Harriet Beecher Stowe house. Now, I must admit, I don't think I've been in there. I've only been inside the Mark Twain house as a kid. And this is where the kids would, I mean, this is where the cars or the wagons would pull up, drop people off. There's the some of the balconies and features. So this would be the front grand entrance. And right there is Harriet Beecher Stowe's house. So as we continue around to the front, the family ate, like I said, all their meals formerly in the dining room. The uh, the, the Twain family was well known for their dinner parties, which took place 4 to 5 times a week. According to their recipes, the family would spend as much as $100 a week for food. One side of the room demonstrated by the original high sideboards, which was custom made to fit the niche in the wall in which they would sit and display cases of cut glass across the table in an old-fashioned spine with which was removed. The Japanese inspired wallpaper designed to associate to inspire artists is made to of embossed paper, which was printed and varnished to make it look like leather. The family spent a lot of time in the library. After dinner, the Twains often read out loud or told interpretation stories to their children. Sam's daughter, Susie, born March 19th, 1872, and I'm going to skip over some of my notes here. The library's um, medal was designed along the Scotland and English border, but was never installed there. Mark Twain himself, and I just got bit by a mosquito. didn't think of using my off bug spray this time. Mark Twain himself uh, brought it brought it for his Hartford library and added a brass plaque on the heart, inscribed with with a quote. Um, like many upper class late Victorian homes, Twain's home is a conservatory, had a fountain, and was filled with plants. Susie, Claire, and Jean called the rooms a jungle. And that you can see through these windows right here. This is the room we're talking about. My tour guide was told me where to go. You can see the replica of you can see the water and look at that. They called this a jungle with all the plants. That is so neat. Now, as we continue further along this path, they have walking paths. I'm going to stay on the mahogany room was a 3-room guest suite named for its mahogany furniture as a woodwork. While it may seem strange to walk from the library into the bedroom on the first floor, keep in mind that the Twain family lived a very public lifestyle and often had guests in this room for several weeks or months. And they wanted their guests to have the accommodations and luxury that was provided at that time. This space would have been reserved for honored guests, but family documents show it had a few other uses as well. It served as a backstage for the family theatrics and workshop for the Christmas pageants and a warm space for a reading study. Authors from all over the state would come to be inspired and to feel the warmth. The luxury included a private bath with hot and cold running water, modern water closet, and a sparkling tub that would have countless guests and staff members working on in the kitchen. Now, as you move up to the second floor of the Twain house, following the birth of the youngest daughter, Jean, this small room became the oldest daughter, Susie's bedroom. Susie's bedroom is decorated typically for the time, completed with floral wall designs, matting on the floor, and pictures pinned on the walls. Susie collected seaweed and seashells during the family's trips to the shorelines, which I have to say, on a side note, is only an hour away, but by horse and buggy, that could take quite a while, and displayed them alongside as treasures of her vanity. The Twain's master bedroom had has been restored to the butler's illustration in the Times, and the taste of the couple purchased their Orient walnut bed in Italy in 1879. The couple slept backwards with their heads at the foot of the bed. That's some interesting facts. Now, the bedroom that they had, to think that they sat at the foot of the bed, or they slept at the foot of the bed. Uh, wow, that is really cool history. So the master bedroom was restored to be illustrated. So instead of using the headboard, the daughters were delighted with the angles on the corners of the post could be removed and would play and they would play with them like dolls. Claire Twain inherited the bed in 1910 from a deceased father and donated it to the Mark Twain Memorial in 1940. The second floor guest rooms, located up there, was nicknamed the mother's room. Mrs. Twain would stay for extended periods of time after the death of her husband in 1870 and was much of a part of the family life. The bedrooms sit, and look at the way the lighting is angling. That is so neat. I just love how the sun is cooperating with us. And she would visit often. So as we continue on, younger sister Claire and Jean Twain shared a nursery along with their nursemaid. Susie moved out of the room and was given her own room when she turned 13. The wallpaper is a reproduction of the original pattern by the illustrator and features scenes from the nursery rhyme. The As I continue, bear with me. The notes that I was given by the museum curator and director. The schoolroom was originally designed to be used as Twain's study, but it was eventually turned into the nursery, and where instead of writing, as the Twain girls grew older, it became their schoolroom. The girls were primarily educated at home by their mother. That's pretty cool. But Susie and Claire also attended Hartford public schools for a short period of time. They studied reading, writing, and history in foreign languages. All three spoke fluent in French and German. That's really, I have a hard enough time speaking English. I got to give them credit. And they were gifted with the art of playing the piano, similar to the one displayed here, and each of the Twain girls took lessons. Now, the third floor, which would be up there, which I got to re-angle myself, don't want to fall down the hill, the pretty steep hill. The third floor, George Griffin's room, was restored and opened for the first time to the public in April 1998. And I got to tell you, it was in the 80s since I was last here. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that would be way up there. The decor has been replicated from the paint and the wallpaper samples found during the physical, when they were doing the physical renovation. George worked for the Twain families for 17 years. And the next room is an additional guest room. It is called the Artist Friends Room or the Pink Room because it is previously decorated in pink. The bedroom set, where did I get that? Let you enjoy this view. The bedroom set, I'm trying to be reverent for those who are around. Uh, okay. Set in the chest and of the drawers of the mirror are original furnishings of the Twain family. The billiard room served as Samuel Clemens' study, where he worked during the day and played and entertained friends at night while he lived in this house. Clemens or Twain wrote and published multiple books, and it lists several of them. The rooms reflect Twain's love for billiards. The table displays here today were gifted to the Twains in 1906. Now, as we go into the King's room, or the kitchen wing, the kitchen and servant wing restored was completed in 2003 and 2004. Previously, the space was used as an office with almost no photography, but to go by, the museum replied on the building architectural, wanted to replicate what it would look like at the time of that era. The kitchen wing has its separate entrance that included for the servants, the dining room pantry, the sink room, and the butler's pantry. Above the kitchen are the rooms that would become the bedrooms for the female household staff members during the Twain period. Today, they are offices for the families around. So look at that. Again, voted by National Geographic's magazine as one of the most fascinating houses to tour. And right here is the guest tour, the entrance that they would enter, and you can see. And now we have one of the tour guides going in there, and that would be their own private entrance. The kitchen was separate. In the kitchen, the large central room, you will find the convenience such as an ice box, a telephone, and a large black coal stove, and the elevator system to transport laundry, wood, and coal to the basement. That is, we forget about how convenient life is. And cookware was washed and stored. The water for the sink was heated by running it through the stove into the copper tank in the corner of the room. That just gives me chills. The sink supplied the sink room through the door to the left of the icebox provides all the amenities they needed. The area for the food to prepare the food before it was passed through a small wooden butler pantry. The butler pantry is one of the most compact, elegant rooms in the home, and it's notable for or of its outwall with its glass fonted cabinets, carefully built to match the original replica. So as we walk along here again, the path as I make my way down to go into the entrance to actually have the tour, I'm going to go down the path that I went in over here, which it's recommended that you stay on the path because of the fact that there is poison ivy and you have to be careful. And I'm impressed with the grounds that they have. They have parks that you can walk around, different entrances that you can go. As we continue, the towards the end, before we enter, the family moved out of the home and away from Hartford in 1891. So they only stayed here for a few years. That I find fascinating. Because of financial hardship, the Twains had returned this house eventually, but the death of the oldest daughter, Susie, in 1896 prevented them from doing so. The house was sold in 1903. Mark Twain died in 1910, survived only by his second daughter, Claire, who eventually donated a lot of the stuff. There are no distinct relatives, despite the fact that Samuel or Mark Twain left this home under unfortunate circumstances. It's frequently, and he had only stayed here for 17 years. The family were amongst the happiest and the most productive of the years. And then there's a list of all of the books that they had published. So as I scheduled this live, I was told that I was able to go in and record this. I created all the thumbnails and all the text and all the description for this. And then when I was told nope, we can't do that. I was like, okay. So I'm just going to make the best with what we have. I was able to, the museum curator was able to give me a little cheat sheet to share this with you. And I hope that you enjoyed this. So what I'm going to do now is make my way. They don't allow any photos or videoing once you are inside the doors. But I'm going to show you the entrance that you can walk in. You can see right here. And then once you get in, there's a little gift shop on the right. There's my friend Sandy on her phone. That's National Geographic sign. So this is how you would walk in. And then you would go through these doors here and to the right, and you can buy tickets, not in the gift shop, but in the actual foyer. So I'll show you. And Lego is housed here. So that way Lego has done some replicas